Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live here in Memphis, Tennessee, in Shelby County. And today's date is early Sunday morning, July 13th, 2014. And I will date today's video with yesterday's date, which means Saturday, July the 12th, 2014. And the time right now is 2:40 a.m. I want to first say thank you to all my fans and my supporters for your continued encouragement and support. And I want to start out on this video about talking about speaking to everyone about my entertainment musical interests that I continue to work on. And for the past 2 weeks, as you know, I'm a student. Well, I'm working. First of all, I am employed at a company called AmeriPride, right here in Memphis, Tennessee, in Shelby County, right there on the corner of Vance Avenue and Walnut Street. And you also know that I'm a student currently enrolled at Monroe College online, and I'm studying. Right now, I'm studying for my associate's degree in business administration, concentration in marketing. And when it comes to my entertainment interests and musical interests, like I say, I have to balance work and school. I'm working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, trying to get 40 hours, maybe more. And I'm trying to go to school to earn my associate's degree. And you have to balance your time. You have to have time management. And this past week, I felt, I'm glad to say that I actually had time this past week, and even today. Well, not today, but it's right now. It's early Sunday morning, but yesterday, Saturday, I had some time to actually work on my music, what I wanted to do, and I didn't, get the opportunity to actually finish, but I actually had the opportunity to work on some lyrics. On Monday, I did that. This past Monday, I sat down, I listened to my music, and then when I listened to the music, I was thinking about the lyrics that I want to put with the music, and I actually had the opportunity to sit down and listen and think about the lyrics that I want to put in the music, being Tuesday and Wednesday. This past, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's what I did. After I got out of work, got me a little rest, then the remaining time I had before I had to go back to work again, I actually had the opportunity to sit down, listen to my music, and think about the lyrics that I want to put with the music. Even yesterday, Saturday, I did the same thing. I actually had time to actually sit down and listen to the music and think about the lyrics. And I felt pretty good that I was able to do that. And hopefully I continue to be able to do that and be able to actually finish putting lyrics to the music that I purchased from One Sound Studio right here in Memphis, Tennessee, in Shelby County, right on Airways Boulevard. And like I said, I'm not content with sitting here, but education is very important. It's a priority in my everyday life, and I'm not going to quit going to school for any reason. I'm not going to quit working either, because being employed makes it possible for me to be able to do the things that I want to do with my entertainment and music industry. So being employed is just as important as going to school. You know, but I want to make sure that I didn't inform my fans, my supporters, that I actually had the opportunity to sit down and listen to my music. And when I was listening to the music, I actually had the opportunity to think about lyrics. I had the opportunity to actually sit down. I say this, say that. And that's what I'm going to continue to do, is to continue to balance my work and my school time. And the remaining time I have to work on my entertainment musical interests. And because as I said, I'm not content with just sitting here. That was never my intention from day one. That's the reason why I went and purchased the music, is because I want to make sure that I get I take advantage of the opportunity to be able to do my entertainment industry and music industry. And by no means am I just gonna sit here at the time. You know, it's work. And then it's my school, and both are important. And I'm not gonna just not work and not go to school. I'm gonna keep working, and I'm gonna keep going to school, and I'm gonna keep working on my entertainment music industry. It's just I gotta balance my time management. And on this video, I want to talk about some very important issues that be reported on. And the United Nations is one of the strongest organizations on the planet. It should be. And I seen some advertisements from the United Nations, but also these issues are not just uh, relegated, but these issues were initiated by the United Nations. We have to always remember that the United Nations initiate a lot of the issues that you hear discussed around the world. Sometimes people have this perception that when people discuss issues in their own country, they sometimes you assume that the issue started in your country, but in actuality, it's the United Nations, the influence of the United Nations around the world is pushing that these issues be discussed amongst the people in their country and around the world. And the United Nations says in the law that every human being on this planet has rights. That's the most important thing about the United Nations. And that is every human being on this planet, every human being has rights. And that's what I argue about. See, that's what I argue, that every human being on this planet has rights. And the reason why I argue about that is because for so many people on this planet, when you see, if you look around the world, even today in 2014, you see there are people living in places on this planet that don't have rights by law, that don't have legal rights. If you don't have legal rights, you don't have no rights, period. Because even when you say the traditions, that means that the people in those lands, the traditional law may not be adhered to. Because you look at the condition of the men, you look at the condition of the women, and you certainly look at the condition of the children. And then you say, you understand, then you say that it's tradition. You understand? But see, this is what the United Nations is saying to every human being on this planet, that regardless of your ethnic background, your national background, your ethnic background, your racial background, your criminal background, regardless of what your background is, every human being has rights. Every human being has rights. And I was looking at the United Nations, they put out UNICEF, the United Nations uh, International Children Education Fund, and just the United Nations period. And they got this campaign uh, to end child marriage and female genital mutilation. And see, that's the reason why I say that I support every human being on this planet must have legal rights, because the tradition of many people on this planet is that a man has rights. The man has rights. The man get married who he wants, to a woman. He get married to a little girl, because that's the tradition. And you're not gonna tell that man in his tradition that his ancestor, that his mother, his father was wrong. See, you're not gonna do that. No matter what you say, nobody is gonna tell another group on this planet they wrong for this reason. Let's just take, for example, the United States of America. And when you look at the history of America, you see the Native Americans. Look at the Native Americans living here in North America. This is the reason why you're not going to tell no group about right and wrong. Look at the history of the Native Americans here in America. And when the Europeans came over, and then they brought the blacks with them, and look at the whites and their relationship with the Native Americans, and look at the relationship between the whites, European, and the black Africans who were brought here against their will by the white European. And the white European intentional destruction of the Native Americans. You're not going to tell the white Europeans that what they did was wrong. And at the same time, you're not going to tell these Native Americans that what their ancestors did was wrong. And then you look at these black men and these black women live here in America whose ancestors, the majority, are West African, Niger Congo A, and possibly Niger Congo B, and could possibly a small minority, a very small minority, could possibly have Nilo-Saharan or Afro-Asiatic ancestry. It's very small, very small. They could be actually Afro-Asiatic or Nilo-Saharan, but the overwhelming majority of African Americans here in the United States, Canada, the Caribbean, Central and South America, a Niger Congo A and B, a very, very small minority could be Nilo-Saharan or Afro-Asiatic. And when you talk about having rights, when you talk about child marriage, when you talk about female genital mutilation, see, this is where the legal system and the traditional law are not the same, because the legal system could be based on words from people around the world, but the traditional law is the law of their group. It's not the same. See, the legal system, you take words from people all over the world, and then you say it's the law. But when it comes to traditional law is the law of the people that have passed down from one generation to the next generation. And you're not going to tell these people that the legal system is right when they know that there are words in the legal system from another ethnic group. And then that's just like saying that in the legal system under colonialism in Africa, you're telling the people in Africa that the legal system is right when they know that the words that they listen hearing are words from British, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and so on and so forth. And these are the people that enslaved the blacks in Africa. You look at South Africa today, you see all these white people living in South Africa who came from the Netherlands. And you're going to tell the blacks who live in Africa, who are native to Africa, that the legal system is right. Look at the words in the legal system from Europe. And when you look at the traditional law is right to them. That's the reason why they keep their tradition. And then you want to talk about child marriage and female genital mutilation. See, I was looking at move this, make sure it don't stop. Okay, I had to mouse on the stop button. I make sure that I moved. But like I say, when you talk about the legal system and when you talk about traditional law, it's not the same. And that's the reason why around the world you have these issues, you have this problem that if you use the word marriage, you see the lesbian, you see the gays, you see the bisexual, you see the transgender. That's the legal system. The legal system have words from that group, but also have words from another ethnic group. And that ethnic group could possibly be your enemy. See? But the traditional law, if there's any words in your traditional law about a group that live next door to you, then that's possibly the same group of people. They speak a dialect, but they are the same people. They are related, but from generation to generation, another generation. You know, that's who that is next door in traditional law. Because as the tribe grows, you know, a man and a woman have a child, then that man and woman, then that child, they have a child. Then eventually you're going to expand, you're going to grow, and you start growing. And the further you get away from the original source, there's going to be a dialect. So that's what the tradition is. That's the traditional law. If there was anything in your tradition about a group of people that wasn't even related to you in the traditional law, they speak a different language. They may look, we may look the same, like completely, or so on and so forth. Hair texture might be either the same, could be different. You can have two dark-skinned people. One can have coarse hair, and the other one can have straight hair, but they both dark-skinned. And vice versa, you can have a light-skinned person can have coarse hair or have straight hair. But in the tradition, the law was passed down from generation to generation. It's not the same with the legal system. See, the legal system is when you have people who go amongst other people, and then you observe their culture. And when you observe their culture, you apply their culture to your culture. That's where the legal system comes in. About marriage, you see a man and a woman having a child together. And then you go all around the world, you see a man and a woman, they have a child together. That's where your culture. That's where the legal system comes from. The legal system is when a man and a woman, they observe another man and a woman who's not even in their ethnic group. But you see a man, and then he being with a woman, and they have a child. And then you have child marriage. You observe that they're a man, that is a man, and you see a little girl. See? And then you also observe the little boy and the grown women. It's very rare that you see, because in traditional law, certain age, not at 18, but at a certain age, a little boy was considered a man in tradition. So if there were women walking around, could be older than that little boy was considered a man. And that's in the traditional law. See, this is what it is about child marriage and about the legal system and about female genital mutilation. See, you're talking about a little girl, the genitals being mutilated, because it's supposed to be to protect. Female genital mutilation is supposed to be done as a means of protecting the little girl from being sexually violated by a man that the mom and dad don't want to be with their child. See, when the mom and dad think about a little girl or woman, there are other ethnic groups amongst. See, if a little girl, mom and dad want that little girl to be married, they'll marry that little girl themselves. See, you have to always remember about child marriage. See, child marriage ain't all about force. See, this is what you have to understand about tradition. And that's the reason why when you tell people about right and wrong, you keep forgetting that it's a tradition for the father and the mother to marry their daughter to someone in their own tribe. And that's not wrong. See, but what they say is wrong is when that little girl is going around in a group amongst the people, and then she tell the dad and mom that a man sexually violated and then had his way with her, and that the mom and dad didn't want you to do that because the mom and dad wanted to pay somebody to pay them money to marry that girl. See, it didn't make no difference about the girl being 10 or 9. What mattered to the dad and the mama that somebody, that a man, that the dad and mama picked. See, the dad and mama would pick a man to marry that 9-year-old little girl. See, you don't leave that out. See, you imply, when you say child marriage, you imply that it's force. And it's not force. Because in tradition, the father and the mother will marry that little girl to a man. They'll give that little girl to a man of their choice, of their pick. Then, in the society, in that same culture, they'll give that little girl an opportunity to pick a man. She'll pick a man herself. And when she picked that man, she'll tell that man to pay her mom and dad the dowry money so they can be married. See, child marriage ain't all about force. It's about tradition. And in tradition, the tradition of the law is not wrong. But see, what they want to do is stop people from fighting because female genital mutilation is to protect the little girl. That's the reason why they initiated. They claim that it was to protect the girl from being sexually violated. That's what is the intent. That was the intent. See, nobody has no. What's the reason for female genital mutilation? You have to ask what. If you ask what it is, they'll tell you that it's cutting the genital. That's what this reason why they say female genital mutilation is cutting the genitals of a little girl. But then you have to ask the question, why? And when you find out why, then you get into tradition. Because the mama and the daddy tried to protect the little girl. See, it's not about stopping her from getting married. Don't get female genital mutilation as if the mama and the dad trying to stop the little girl before she turned 18 from getting married. That's not what they're doing. Female genital mutilation is about protecting the girl from being sexually violated from another ethnic group. Because that's what different groups will do. They will have sex. Even if it being forced, they'll see some little girls, they'll go in and sexually violate each other. Little girls, that's what they'll do. So the men will protect the girl, that way she won't get pregnant, even if if she did get sexually violated, she won't get pregnant by that man that's sexually violated. But by no means did it say that the mama and the dad didn't want the little girl not to get married. See, that's what you have to understand about tradition, about the legal system. The legal system said that's wrong, but what is the legal system? The legal system is two ethnic groups trying to bring about peace, and where we can live peaceably among one another. So the legal system is when you excuse me, it's when you have different ethnic groups, different nationalities, different racial uh, backgrounds, having to live amongst one another, or even in a distance from one another, but being able to live in peace without it being conflict. That's what your legal system is based on. But your traditional law, there is no us living in peace with one another, because that's who we are. Based on our tradition, that's the reason why we are who we are, and you who you are. It's because of tradition. You're not who you are because the legal system said you are American, or you are African, or you are European, or you are Asian. You are who you are because of tradition. The reason why you're saying Europe, the reason why you're saying Asian is because of tradition, not because of the legal system. See, this is what I want to talk about. In this video, it's about child marriage and female genital mutilation. And the United Nations, it took years. It took a lot of years for the United Nations to even be able to do what they are doing today. It took years for them to be able to do what they are doing today around the world. It took a lot. A lot of people have sacrificed a lot for the people around the world to be able to live, because many groups of people, even in their own ethnic group, will hurt each other and do things because it's tradition in that ethnic group. Then you got to deal with this ethnic group and this ethnic group having conflict. But then, it's internal and external conflict. So when it comes to child marriage, when you think about the word marriage, in traditional, there is no word marriage. That's the legal system. That's a legal term. That's the reason why you go all around the world, you keep seeing them use the same word, marriage. See, you got child marriage, you got same-sex marriage. So you keep using the same word, and it's about some kind of sexual relationship between a man and a woman, a man and a little girl, possibly a little boy and a grown woman. And then now it's a man and a man, and a woman and a woman. See? And you use the same word, marriage. But in tradition, you don't do that. Traditional law, you don't use the same word. It always be different words and different signs, and it be different means of communication. When you think about the legal system here in America, America has many examples of the reason why the United Nations is so important today. You think about me, myself, sitting here, African American. You look at an example about a child. There was a time in this country where a child didn't even have a right not to work. They had child labor. They had to pass laws to protect children from child labor. Just like they do all around the world, they have to protect the children from child labor. People trying to use the children, trying to make them work for free. Even if they did want to pay the children, understand they have to be protected. They have to protect the children from labor. You understand? And you think about people have rights, and then you look at the African Americans here in America. You think about World War One, World War Two. Think about the Korean War, the Vietnam War. You understand? You think about those wars and the African Americans here in America who didn't even have rights during World War One, but you fighting, you helping these white people here in America to go and fight against other white people, the French, the German, the British, all those white people in Europe were at war with each other. And then you as black, the African Americans here in America were in the military fighting with this country. Then World War II, the same thing. You didn't even have no constitutional rights, period, as an African American. That you didn't even have no legal rights, period. But you was in the military fighting for freedom around the world. But you weren't even free yourself. You weren't even free here in America. But you would fight for some other people to be free from the Nazi Germans. You understand? See, this is what the legal system means. And when you see an African American in the U.S. military during World War II and World War I fighting for freedom and democracy, but you don't even have freedom here in America. But think about a little boy and a little girl, and you talking about child marriage and female genital mutilation. These white people did whatever they wanted to do. See, the Korean War, democracy and socialism, communism, Vietnam War, communism, socialism, democracy, free market economy. You didn't, the blacks in America, how you gonna be talking about socialism? And you didn't even have a right to education. See, this is what you were denied access to education and to health care. You didn't have no legal rights, period. And this is what they said during the Vietnam War. There were many African Americans protesting about the Vietnam War that the African American in America didn't even have rights. And then you're gonna send a man, a black man, to Vietnam to fight against the Viet Cong. But yet still here in America, you seen Dr. Martin Luther King, and you heard Malcolm X talking about by any means necessary. See, you didn't even have no rights. And you think about little Emmett Till. See, this is where the law is so important. See, this is how you get an understanding when you talk about child marriage and female genital mutilation. Look at Emmett Till, a little black boy. He was living up there in Chicago, Illinois. Came down to visit some of his family. Some of his family members lived in Mississippi, in the state of Mississippi. And some white woman claimed that he whistled at her. You understand? She said that he whistled at her, or said something to her. A little boy, a little black boy in Mississippi. So she went and told some white men, that little boy said something to me. They killed Emmett Till. They tortured him to death. And then when they took it to court, the state of Mississippi said that the defendants hadn't done it. They didn't care nothing about them white men killing that little black boy. So what? Big deal. So you ain't nobody. See, this is the reason why when you go around the world, see, there are people who have the same attitude around the world. That some other ethnic group, some other nationality, some other racial group don't matter. You don't have no rights, period. You understand? You don't have no rights. So when it comes to child marriage. See, when it comes to female gentlemen, see, even today, when you look around the world, there are people who don't have the right to vote. Grown men and grown women don't have the right to vote. And you talk about child marriage. See, a child, when the grown man and the grown woman are in a relationship and they have a child, the grown man and grown woman don't even have the right to vote, let alone you talking about child marriage. And talking about female genital mutilation. But you're not telling them that they doing something wrong. They're not gonna pay nobody in another country gonna listen to the United Nations. It's the reason why they have so many problems with vaccinations, with the polio and the smallpox and other vaccinations that the United Nations try to do, because traditional law is telling them they haven't done anything wrong. Then here you come, the same people that's trying to destroy us. Then you're gonna come amongst us with this United Nations. You think they trust you? That's the reason why they don't trust the World Health Organization, because the enemy is working in the World Health Organization. You understand? See, for a lot of blacks in Africa, when they see all these white people in the World Health Organization, the United Nations, it's the enemy. They think they trust you. But see, that's the mentality, that's the attitude that you have to deal with. See, they look at that's the same thing you're saying. You claim that these black people are trying to destroy you. So you try to go out and build all these guns and nuclear bombs to protect yourself. See, from the blacks. That's what you're really saying. You're trying to defend yourself from the blacks in Africa to keep them from coming over and killing all us. So when it comes to child marriage, see, this is what my position is on. That every human being on this planet have rights. See, you can't talk about child marriage and the man don't have rights. How you gonna tell a man that what he doing is wrong, but yet still he don't even have the right to vote? Is that right? Is that wrong? He don't have the right to vote. Then you got a woman, a grown woman. She want to be protected from that man because that man is physically and sexually abusing her and verbally. Understand? Then you see a little child. Then she bring a child into the world with that man. She don't have no protection under the law because she don't have no rights. She don't even have rights. So talking to a grown woman about a child is useless. Why you telling me about child marriage when I'm a grown woman and I don't even have rights? She don't see not one woman being, represented in the political system. She see a man that's a president or a prime minister, and then all the other government positions. She see nothing but men. All she see is men. See, when you want to talk about female genital mutilation, when you want to talk about child marriage, see, to a woman, what her rights is. See, because a woman, she get pregnant. And when she bring a child into the world, you want to protect the child, but you don't care nothing about the woman. You can't do that. See, you can't do that. You got to protect the woman. Because if you don't protect the woman, if the woman don't have legal rights, it ain't no say, you'll never get, you don't get nowhere talking about child marriage. Because that's what women do, get pregnant. Not just little girls. Little girls, they don't, a woman can get pregnant all the way up to 50. She be almost 50 years old, still getting pregnant. See, that's what child marriage means. See, it ain't just the men, and he see a little girl, and it's grown women walking around for these men, the same men, to marry. That's what the female genital mutilation means. Is when you see little girls walking around, then you have grown women. The men having sex with the grown women, and then you have these little girls going around, and then the women had these little girls, and then the men that they in a relationship with, they had sex with the little girls, and that was the child marriage. So they had to have female genital mutilation to protect the little, keep the little girl from getting pregnant, because the mama and the dad made a deal, they made an agreement with another man that they were gonna let that man marry this little girl. And then this man made an agreement, said he's gonna pay this amount of money. So when it comes to female genital mutilation and when it comes to child marriage, that's what you're gonna have to deal with. So my position is that it's the United Nations position that every human being on this planet must have rights. Everybody gotta have rights. The man gotta have rights. The woman gotta have rights. And the child gotta have rights. You can't just have the men got rights. Every human being, men, women, children, regardless of ethnic background, nationality, your racial background, regardless of your gender, your age, every human being must have rights. Must have rights. And before I end this video, I'm gonna continue my conversation. I talk about traditional African culture and customs. And and okay, I'll just get my paper. You see, this is also what the reason why is when you hear words in different languages, you don't hear words, like the traditional language. In the traditional language, you don't hear words from another ethnic group in the traditional language, which you hear it in the legal system. And okay, I'm start right. It's a word in in the Yoruba. It's a letter D. Yoruba is Western Africa. It's, a, it's also in the feminine. Okay, it's Dada, and it means curly hair. In the Yoruba, see, these are words about the appearance. When people speak in that tradition, they'll talk about the appearance. So here it is, a word about the texture of your hair. Now, when I pronounce it, the way it's spelled is D-A, D-A. Now, if you say Dada, that means that the A is silent. If you say Day Day, then you hear the A. Now, this is a word, it's a Western African word, it's an Igbo word. The male is in the masculine and the feminine, male and female. Now, my pronunciation. Now, okay, it's an E word. It starts with the letter E. Ikini, Dilichoku, Ikini, Diti, Ikini, Dilichoku. Now, what does that mean? It means all praises to God in the Igbo. That's what it means. Ikini, Dilichoku. In the masculine and the feminine. It's in the Igbo language. And it means all praises to God. Okay, excuse me. Okay, this is a word. It start with the letter H. Now it's an East African word in Amharic. And it means, uh, and the word is in the feminine and the female. And the word is, now the spelling is Hiwot. Now the pronunciation, Hawat, or Hiwot, or Hawot. It means life in Amharic. Okay, let's see now. Now, the word I'm going to pronounce is a verbal in a verbal language. Okay, okay. Now it's in the masculine. It's North African in the verbal. And the spelling is Izem. And word is azim. Or you could pronounce it with the I being sound like an E. Azim. That's in the Berber. And it means lion in Tamazite. See, that's Tamazite. That's the Berber in North Africa. And there's another word in the feminine that's in the Berber, and it's derived from Arabic. And, it's in the feminine, and it's in the spell Kahina, Kahina, and it's derived from Arabic al Kahina, meaning the diviner, the fortune teller. Okay, and this word here, okay, this is Southern Africa. Tswana. It's the masculine and the feminine, and it's spelled Katlego, and the word is Catlego, and it means success in Tswana. Okay, now this is a word from the Eastern Africa. It's in the masculine and feminine in Gunda, and the word is, I'm gonna spell it, it's Kirabo, Karabo, Karabo, or Karibo. It all, is the I silent. See, some words, some letters may be silent in pronunciation, but the spelling, they spell it one way, but then we pronounce it another way. It might be, you spell it Kirabo. The I could be silent. The A, and the O at the end could be silent. But it means gift in Luganda. Okay, okay. Not go too much further because time. We're gonna continue our conversation and our talk on traditional African culture and custom on my next video. And again, my name is Eric B. Johnson. I'll also known as BrightShine. I live here in Memphis, Tennessee, in Shelby County. And I want to thank all my fans and my support for your continued encouragement and support. And I'm looking at the clock. Until my next video. And again, like I say, I want to say this again, that BrightShine supports that every human being on this planet have rights. Everybody must have rights. The man, the women, the children must have rights. Must have rights legally and traditionally. In every way, must have rights. Until my next video, you take care of yourself. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this run all the way to an hour, to equal out. So I got 56. So if you see me saying what I'm doing, I'm letting the video run out to a whole hour, because it's 56 minutes right now. So I'm gonna let it run all the way to one whole hour. Until my next video, you take care of yourself, and I wish each and every one of you the best.